On December 31st of 2012, peasants from Jingchuan County, Gansu Province, find a gilded Buddha's head while repairing a road. 9 days later, just 8 meters away, they discover an underground palace. Inside, there's a brick with an inscription on it that says more than 2,000 relics are stored. It's by far the greatest hoard of Buddhist relics found to date. Some even speculate that the actual number of relics inside is far greater than 2,000. If they're right, they're on to something that will stun the world. Buddhism entered China during the Eastern Han Dynasty. The religion spread down the Silk Road and gradually seeped into mainstream Chinese culture. Jingchuan was the last stop off route to Chang'an. As the influence of Buddhism grew, the town became home to many temples and developed into an important center of pilgrimage. There were at least 133 Buddhist temples and nunneries in Jingchuan County by the end of the Qing Dynasty. Buddhist grottos were scattered all over the country and lined both banks of the River Jing for more than 100 miles. In the heyday of Jingchuan Buddhism, these grottos were home to more than 18,000 monks and nuns. There are many stories told about these holy men and women. One of them tells of 2 monks who went all over the country looking for relics 1,000 years ago. The relics and treasures they brought back from their travels were buried beneath a temple. To most people, the story of the monks' hoard is just a legend. No traces of it have ever been found. But perhaps the Jingchuan discoveries show that there's a grain of truth to these old wives' tales. The 2012 find caused great excitement in Gansu archaeological circles. When news of the Buddha head and the underground palace reached the provincial authorities, experts rushed to Jingchuan. Maybe it was the hoard the old tales told of. The Gansu Institute of Archaeology got in touch with their colleagues in Shanxi. They sent an expert restorer and conservator called Zhang Rongjian to help out with the excavation. She has now scanned the casket. The scan clearly shows 4 bottles and 2 possible teeth. There is also evidence that there are bone fragments in the casket. But scans are not enough. The team needs to look inside the casket. Over the years, the artifacts inside have corroded and decayed. It will be difficult to separate the relics from the mass of decomposed matter in the casket. Zhang Rongjian is going to have her work cut out. At last, the preliminary cleanup is over. They found the bottle and what could be rib bones. The inscription says there are teeth in the casket. But so far, they can't be sure they've found any. Instead, there are 2 rectangular bottles.
有2个叠压的关系，当时医生那个判断呢，说是可能是佛牙，就是跟牙齿类型有点接近的。清理当中，发现呢这个不是说是佛牙，是2个瓶子。
There are no bones or teeth inside the bottles. There could be some in the lacquer box, but they won't know until they can separate it from the bottles. Further investigation will have to wait.
能说明这3个瓶子应该是都有舍利子，应该是都有。再就是也是就说是高密度这个阴影应该是也是能证明这个。
这个里面还有。
Though the results of a CT scan indicate that there are relics in the round bottles, the team can't open them to find out what's inside. While she's extracting the bottles, Zhang Yongjian makes a surprising discovery. There's a bottle at the bottom of the casket. Its neck is broken, and it is lying upside down. The contents of the bottle might be at the bottom of the casket. Zhang's colleagues help sift through the detritus, examining each item with a magnifying glass.
Be較小的話，我是3、4遍沒有看，還有一個是拿放大鏡要照一下。 放大的再看，因为它这个最小的舍利子是可能几乎是有0.05厘米吧。
They've been working for about a month now. The results are impressive.
散落下来的呢，这个舍利子总共数量大概有1000多粒，光这个盒子里边装的这个舍利子就有1000。
However, they need to proceed cautiously. The other bottles cannot be opened yet. Nevertheless, experts agree that the inscription is accurate. There are at least 2,000 items in the casket. Liu Yulin takes a more radical view.
根据现在清理的情况看的话，就不止2000余粒啊，可能要3000以上了。
It's unlikely that ordinary people would have had the means to create a reliquary of this size. Therefore, it was probably established by imperial patronage. The inscription seems to support this. It says the relics were interred in the year of 1013. In other words, the reliquary was deposited during the reign of Emperor Zhenzong of the Northern Song dynasty. He was both a Buddhist and a Taoist. The reliquary he founded in the Kaibao Temple is known to have contained the teeth of a Buddhist saint. Do these relics have anything to do with him?
很多埋葬舍利、封舍利，特别是水，都是皇帝亲自下面的，皇帝下的。
But this idea is rejected after analysis of the inscription on the brick. The 19-line, 416-word inscription simply recounts a well-known legend. According to legend, 2 Song dynasty monks, Jiming and Guanjian, vow to establish a reliquary in the Longqing Temple in Jingzhou Prefecture. They spend 24 years wandering around the country collecting relics. Eventually, Yunzhang falls ill and dies because of the great hardship they undergo on their quest. Jiming vows to complete the task. A shrine for the treasures is established in the Manjushri Hall of the Longqing Temple. In 1013, Master Huizhou and Abbot Yiying inter the 2,000 relics the two monks gathered on their travels beneath the hall. These relics don't get a fancy burial. The humble monks of the Longqing Temple weren't able to afford anything more than a plain wooden coffin and a brick sarcophagus. Nevertheless, the establishment of the reliquary is regarded as an act of great religious merit.
唐末以后慢慢的走向民间了，世俗化了。国家好像对这些风水里之类的这些事情不重视了，但是民间反而很重视。
但们到了这个宋以后，这种随着佛教世俗化的以后，这种情况，就不同的这个百姓、老百姓、一般的这个寺院的这个僧众都可以埋藏这个、收藏这个舍利。
1,000 years ago, in the Song Dynasty, the Longqing Temple monks Zhuming and Yongjian set up their reliquary here. It was a deed that moved and inspired many people, but what drove them to do it? Other items have been found near the excavation site. More than 200 statuettes of Buddha. Figurines like these have a long history. Examples have been found dating from the dynasties before Song Dynasty. However, it's the condition of the statuettes that draws the attention of the researchers. Many of them seem to have been strewn randomly across the floor of the underground palace. Most of them are broken or defaced.
这种它肯定不是说是正常的状态下把它埋藏起来的，肯定是受到一些外界的这种破坏性的这种行为以后，才造成这种造像，就是说出土时候的这种状态。
Buddhism is one of the world's 3 major religions. Though the religion became widespread in China, it was not always approved of by the state authorities. In fact, there were a number of attempts to eradicate Buddhism in China.
学界一般认为跟这个351宗灭佛有一定的联系，当然也不排除其他的一些原因。
Though it's possible these statuettes were damaged because of natural disaster or war, desecration is a more plausible explanation. Iconoclasm was common during anti-Buddhist campaigns. At the end of each campaign, there were many broken statues and effigies. Faithful Buddhists would collect them and look for an appropriate place to keep them. They often ended up beneath temples. Over time, large quantities of broken statuary accumulated under temples. State policy during the Song Dynasty favored the centralization of political and spiritual authority. The Buddhist religious leaders were largely independent of the state. They and their richly endowed temples and monasteries were likely to suffer as political and spiritual power was centralized. However, it is likely they saw an anti-Buddhist campaign coming and prepared themselves for it. They gathered relics and other precious items and stowed them safely underground. This is one explanation for the presence of the 2,000 relics. It's an outstanding collection, yet what's even more stunning is that there could be more than 2,000 relics. The Yunlin believes there are 1,000 additional relics. That means there could be more than 3,000 relics here.
它有这个印骨舍利，有佛骨舍利，有整身舍利，还有结晶体舍利，有这个种类非常多。
The color of a relic is significant. It is believed that a genuine relic derived from a piece of flesh is red. Bone relics are white. Black relics come from the hair. Lots of color can be seen in this reliquary. It looks like they could have been formed from lots of different materials. Liu Yulin detects 20 different colors and shades among the relics. Some of the relics look like jade or stone. Their surface is smooth and glossy, and they have a natural appearance. 4 of these relics are about 2 millimeters in diameter and colored light yellow. These most closely resemble the relics found in the ruins of the Dayun temple in 1964. As she sorts through the contents of the casket, Zhang Yonglan finds many bone fragments. They seem to be remnants of cremated bones. Liu Yulin, however, thinks they are very unusual.
话你如果打上手电筒，你一看那个佛骨上面都有那个闪光点，就是折射出来的光。折射出来的光是一种白色的光，非常刺眼。
Liu Yulin thinks this is significant. Why do they glitter and glow? He argues that the 1,000 tiny relics found by Zhang Yongjian are a special sort of relic. He believes these relics refract the light because they are crystalline relics. All they need to do to identify a crystalline relic is shine a light on it.
在他们清理出来这个晶体水里，你拿手电筒一照的话，它同样也是有这个折射光。折射光跟那个佛骨上面那个小点折射出来的光是一模一样的。
Liu Yulin has never seen anything like this in all of his archaeological career. He comes up with a theory to explain it.
这些白色结晶体的水粒应该是佛骨上脱落下来的，而不是瓶子里倒出来的。
Liu Yulin believes these relics are different from the others. These 1,000 extra relics were not originally placed in the casket.
所以我就把它认为是佛骨生出来的水粒，这种水粒应该叫做再生水粒。
Liu Yulin thinks that spiritual power calls some sorts of relics into existence. Though most relics are found in the ashes of a cremated Buddhist saint, others come into existence spontaneously. In 1974, 2 teeth were found in the wooden pagoda of the Wudang temple in Shanxi. Crystals were apparently growing out of the roots of the teeth. The relic teeth had apparently generated more relics. Liu Yulin thinks this is the first recorded instance of bone fragments generating crystalline relics. Liu Yulin believes that the 1,000 relics did not come from the bottle. They were generated inside the casket itself. He believes that the empty bottle confirms his interpretation of the evidence.
只能这样子。
就是早期
父亲就没有这个结晶体水粒存在。如果说是倒出来的话，那它大部分的，因为1000多粒那数量非常多，它大部分应该在瓶口附近。结果它瓶口附近没有，都是散落在这个整个这个陶罐里边。
Over the course of 1,000 years, most of the things inside the casket have perished and decayed, including the bottle. Although that explains why the neck of the bottle is broken and how the relics fell out, it doesn't account for their random distribution. If they did come from the bottle, they might be expected to remain near the bottle. Liu Yulin believes that the crystals observed on the bones and the crystal particles scattered around the casket are physically identical. He believes that crystals developed on the bones, and that this process of spontaneous generation accounts for the additional 1,000 relics. This phenomenon is recorded in the canon of Buddhist scripture and has been observed in the reliquary of the Jingchuan County's Longqing Temple. The generation of relics has important ramifications for archaeological research. It suggests that the number of relics increases over time. It's June 19th, 2013, the 12th day of the 5th month of the lunar calendar. Monks gather in Jingchuan's Dayun temple. 1,000 years ago, Buddhist relics were buried beneath the Longqing temple. 1,000 years later to the day, the relics are being interred in the underground palace of the pagoda of Jingchuan County's Dayun temple. It's a very special day. It comes around once in 1,000 years. It seems a miracle that Buddhist relics have turned up 3 times in the vicinity of the Dayun temple. The relics found in 1964 were originally enshrined in the Dashengguo temple. When Wu Zetian ordered the construction of a Dayun temple on that site, the relics were rediscovered and buried in style. So important did she regard these relics and promotion of Buddhism, she gave them a king's burial in gold and silver coffins. In 1969, 5 years after the first find, 10 more relics turned up near the site of the Dayun temple. This time the relics were in a stone sarcophagus made on the orders of Huiming in the year of 567. These relics predated the ones found on the site of the Dayun temple by more than 100 years. In January 2013, a third cache of Buddhist relics was found, this time near the east wall of the ruins of the Dayun temple. Inscriptions on a brick suggested there could be as many as 2,000 relics in the casket. However, Liu Yulin believes there could be upwards of 3,000 relics in the casket, and that a mysterious process of spontaneous generation accounts for the additional 1,000 relics. Research into the relics found near the Dayun temple continues. The 3 discoveries could be just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows how much more treasure lies beneath the ground waiting to be dug up? The 3 bottles of the 2013 find still await thorough examination. It is likely that more relics will be found inside. Buddhist writings also tell that Ashoka built many pagodas to provide shrines for more than 84,000 relics. 19 of these were built in China. The Dunhuang manuscript records that the Wudang temple hosted the 9th pagoda. It's widely known that the temple was in Jingchuan Prefecture, but nobody knows exactly where. There's a chance it stood in the town that was swept away by a flood 600 years ago. If so, Jingchuan could be the scene of another remarkable discovery in the years to come.